Hello, folks, and welcome to the Friend or FoF Lounge. For those of you who don't know who I am your friendly neighbor, shoutcaster Sharogen, and it is my sultry voice. You'll be hearing quite a bit watching our Friend or FoF series matches in the very near future. Today is a very special edition of the Friend or FoF. Kicking off Friend or FoF series season 5, which is kind of crazy this far. And based on the way the qualifiers went, I think this is probably going to be one of the intense and most exciting series that we've had so far. Now, don't you worry. I'm not going to be doing this by myself. It's not just my beautiful mug you're going to be seeing the whole time. We are going to be joined by rapidly losing sanities, Ahnty, and Universal Basic Incomes, Ability Monster, and Red. So, gentlemen, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourselves? We'll start with Ahnty.
Hi, hello. I am Ahnty. I was the top lane player for, well, RLS. We change our acronym every year. This year, we are rapidly losing sanity. And last season and the season before that, I played top lane. This season, I'm sitting more as a sub, but, you know, still for the top lane position.
Don't y'all speak?
I'll go next. Hello, I am Red. I joined in Season 3. I was BBC's AD carry. In Season 4, I was their mid laner / AD carry. And in Season 5, I am returning to the team that has defeated me more times than I can count, UB, and I will be their starting top laner. For now. Until, you know, Freelancer decides he wants the gig back.
If you can't beat him, join him. I'm Utility Monster. I'm the jungler for UB since Season 3. And the team captain, Draft Tyrant.
Yeah, pretty much.
Lolytics abuser.
Yeah,
Lolytics abuser.
It's kind of ridiculous. Like, your statistics, basically. I don't know why people don't. Pretty much every.
I don't know either. Why would you trust your own instincts on League of Legends when you can just read numbers?
I've taken an AP statistics class, and because I passed the AP exam, I can just tell you that either you win or you lose. It is always a 50-50.
Almost. What if you tie?
I don't think FoF actually has the format to do that.
But what if you did, though?
Well, see, that's the thing, is like we just
Simply
make the format
don't.
up as we go.
What if both teams just stand in their base and refuse to move?
You know, that
I think both
hasn't happened yet.
would probably be removed.
One team would eventually win because of the minions.
Yeah, but it would take several hours, so does anyone really want to sit through that?
I think blue side usually wins with that, right?
It used to be, then they changed, like, there was a bug with like minion ranges not being the same, and they changed it, so I don't know if that's still true.
All right,
No.
so let's see. I'm reading my notes. I'm gonna go ahead and like intro and whatnot and talk about. Yeah, so I think we wanted to talk about the. Did you want to talk about the qualifier format first, or did we want to get into
The teams first, and then how they got in.
Okay, let's just go ahead, do that. We'll go ahead and start off right here. Gonna have a little slideshow right here. Got ourselves our little team logos floating here in the middle. We got Universal Basic Income kind of right there at the top, showing off. So why don't we go ahead and just, you know what? Let's just start with UB, because we've got two members here. So who is UB, and how do you think they stack up against the rest of the competition?
So we're a team originally of friends who came together before this. We won the last 2 seasons, so you know we've been fairly successful. But then this last season, 2 of our players, Freelancer, who's currently a sub but doesn't have time to play, and Brian Sang, who is our star support player, who is retired from League of Legends, have both moved on. So we now have a new support player and a new top lane player in Red and Bill the Pony. So we're excited to see our new roster shakes out, but it's definitely not going to be sort of the same coordinated machine that we necessarily were recently. So I don't actually think that we're the best team anymore. I think we would have been, you know, favorites if we came back with the same roster, but we didn't. So I think we're, you know, comfortably top half, but I'm not going to make any more bold of a claim than that.
Well, Red, just kind of want to get your perspective on this. because honestly, if you look at UB's roster, we've got BB. The starters are Billy Monster, God, like every single one of those players is a return veteran. There's actually a lot of teams that have returning players, even though it might be like in a mixed up sort of format. So after going through qualifiers and having to deal with all of that, how do you kind of feel about some of these newer teams coming in? Like, I'm going to give an example of Trickle Down Economics, which is mostly new players, Pandas with hats, and that nature. Where did you guys kind of feel good against them?
Well, I didn't actually join UB until after qualifiers, so it's hard for me to say because I didn't play against any teams aside from one game against TDE where I was insanely off-rolled in the jungle. And I think that some of the new teams are going to wind up near the bottom, where a couple of them are going to be more towards the top. For example, I think Baby's going to be probably the #1 team going into the first half of the season. And then I have, like, if we look at my personal power rankings, I have Baby #1 and then TDE #2. And then in the middle, I have this conglomerate of every other team, but kind of like a favored towards like RLS, AWE, and UB in the next slots. But I do feel like UB is an upper half team, and as we get more coordination going throughout the season, we'll start working our way closer to the top.
That's true. I think power rankings are mostly based on if they played right now. So I think that right now it's pretty easy to say that UB is, third at best, fifth at worst. But maybe, we'd love to think that we have more potential than other teams and we can become first. But of course, we'd love to think that.
That's always a good feeling, huh?
Always good to be optimistic.
Yeah, high hope, slow expectations. Wait,
Something like that.
Something a little different.
Something like that. But yeah, 5 returning players on UB should be a fun season. We're just gonna go up the list or down the list or what?
Let's go ahead and go up, down the list, or up the list. Yeah, let's go down the list. Go back up to Art of War. Back into the alphabetical.
Back to Art of War.
Back into the alphabetical order. Art of War Esports. Formerly, I think it's Oriri's team, if I remember.
Yeah, so originally there were 2 teams, Spear and Sword, and last year it was Terracotta Gaming and Serenity Senate, and now it's just one team, Art of War.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think AWE had a strong showing in qualifiers. I think they looked really good. The big question marks for me around AWE is typically Ariri's teams have been revolving doors of players, and that can really hurt team cohesion as the season goes along. Whether or not it's personalities not meshing or someone's schedule becomes too bogged down. There's a million different reasons why a player wouldn't want to continue or couldn't continue. So seeing if they can go the distance without needing to change out players is going to be the #1 thing I'm looking for when I look at how they continue to improve through the season.
Yeah, I mean, last year, even with 2 separate teams, you looked at Terracotta Gaming, where their mid and jungle, which the team was basically built around, 2 weeks in decided that they were both retiring from League of Legends. Or Serenity Senate, I believe their top laner after week 1, no, it was also on TG, where their top laner after like week 1, their computer blue screened and just wasn't usable, so they just all of a sudden had a different top as well. And this tends to happen with a variety of times with a variety of different players, whether it be to luck or cohesion. I don't know. It's always questionable. I will say, as someone who has played against Art of War in scrims, relatively solid team, solid players. I would not be surprised to see them in the top half going into things.
They're the team that I think I have the worst read on where they're going to end up, because of all the teams, past experience makes you think that, maybe they will replace players and that can make them go up or down pretty quickly. But also just a lot of these players I don't have that much experience with outside of Nietsny, who finished out last season for them, but we only saw him for I think 4 or 5 games, including playoffs, and Oriri, who we've seen for a while. I don't know much of these players all that well, so just by individual rank and their performance in qualifiers, they're clearly a good team. So they're not going to be a bottom of the league or anything, but it's hard to know. Are they first or second? Are they fourth or fifth? Are they a little bit lower even? Are they a little bit higher? I don't know. So I have them at probably about 5th to start, but if they go up or down, I wouldn't be shocked.
I will point out that Slowbro is a returning FoF champion. He was on the winning team season 1 with Antunes and a few other players that ended up being mythic players as well.
Yeah, and as someone who's laned into Slowbro, I will also say that, I was the Helios MVP last season for top lane and overall, but that's beside the point. But in terms of laning, Slowbro's really solid. I remember in scrims, I had more trouble with Slowbro in lane than I had with basically the entirety of Helios, barring Joshi. Like, it's very much... Slowbro's a very solid player. Like, definitely cannot sleep on that.
So, definitely a team that has potential, and it's unclear where they'll go, but yeah, well, not much to complain about with that roster.
They've got a really strong roster, and actually, I think this is a good segue into the up team. Maybe, you're like talking about Antunes. Who do we have in support on Team Beat? But we got Antunes, and I mean, if you just look at the roster, go back and you can watch. I think it's like all the way back to like Friend or Foe season 2 at the very early.
Antunes is a season 1 player.
Antunes is season 1. That's right. It's like I was trying to remember. I was like, I'm pretty sure he's season 1, but it's like I know at least. So these guys have been around for a while. They know exactly how we're structured. They're going to be terrifying. And you've got Dax in the jungle, who's scary sometimes with how he's able to predict, and then in the middle, nothing to shake a paw at. In all honesty, like this whole team just. They're going to be one to watch out for. I'm going to be excited every time I cast those games.
Yeah, we played them in qualifiers, except for Red. At the time, we were still running Mr. Chunks as our AD carry before he had some work issues come up and he didn't have time anymore. But they smashed us pretty good. So they're a scary team. Dax is, I think, one of the best junglers in the league. He is nuts, especially when he has strong lanes to play around, and he has that on this team for sure. Jaffe was quite strong last year on BBZ, and any Antunes lane is going to be at least solid, and Lulu is no slouch. I think P-Sweezy's a little bit of a wild card. Not that he's a bad player, but he's not a mid laner. He's a top laner who role swapped just this season. So he has some solo lane experience, but potentially he'll have the highest learning curve coming this season. But if that's your weakest link, like, you're in a great spot. So definitely have them number 1 to start with. They're just clearly all on the same page. They've played together in more than most of the other teams here. But yeah, definitely remains to be seen if they can keep that up as the other teams improve.
I will point out that this is not P-Sweezy's first rodeo into the mid lane. I've known him for a long time. It was kind of been a switch between mid-top for a long time. So he has a few comfort picks, and I think actually a few of them are pretty strong in the current meta, which I think is going to lend towards baby strength into the earlier parts of the season. But as the meta starts shifting, I'm interested to see how well he's going to adapt.
And either way, one of the big things about this team as well is because you have so many returning players, people who are not unknowns, you have players who also at the same time have tried and tested picks that people have to be wary of, like Antunes, incredibly strong on the hook supports. Jaffe has quite the champion pool, but also has access to more unconventional things like the Shyvana at top, which a lot of people aren't going to be that used to. So scouting into a team like this is definitely on the more difficult side, but this is honestly, in my head, my prediction for number 1 team going into things.
I agree.
I'm totally.
Yeah, I have number 1 as well, at least for the first half of the season. We'll
right.
have to see how things
I don't know
shake
if they
out.
finish number 1, because again, like they they sort of start at the highest point, having played in this league and for a lot of them together for as long as they have. So maybe they don't have as much growth potential, but if they do, then and they can stay number one, fantastic.
All I'm gonna say is RLS and Team Beep Boop have a bit of a history. In our inaugural season, I think it was season 3, we joined in Mythic, and so did Team Beep Boop, and we ended up fighting against each other as the bottom 7th and 8th place teams. We got our one win of the season over Team Beep Boop, and they immediately dropped out of the tournament.
Different players.
I think the only returning
Jaffe
player
is
from
the
that
only one
roster
who
is Jaffe.
stays from that
Yeah.
roster.
Jaffe stays,
Jaffe only.
and Brendan, the coach, was also on the team. But other than
All
that,
I'm gonna say is that it was a very funny experience back then. I don't expect to see something like that this time around. But all of the players are incredibly volatile in terms of play style, and I'm so excited to see them on the Rift.
And we mentioned unknowns, which hopping into the very next team, we got Team who has by far the most unique logo out of all of this.
Unique is a good way to put it.
Unique is a good way to put it. If you've been paying attention to the logos as they swipe by, you know which one I'm talking about. And so there it is. And
must tell the story behind that logo.
I'm really excited to watch these guys play. I'm really excited to cast for them, only because I expect Wednesday to be making some awesome play. I have got to be able to just shout out that it's Wednesday, my dudes. I need that. I need it like you don't understand.
Okay, so as much as my heart wants to place them on the lower half just because of the strength of a lot of the other teams we've seen, I gotta give them some credit for having the power of God and anime on their side.
Yeah, and speaking of God X Anime, the way how their team plays seems to be focused around their jungler being on a carry champion and roaming around the map making plays. Like when we played against them in qualifiers, we had a lot of trouble with that as God X Anime just picked up the Diana, just made sure that everything that they wanted to do on the map was theirs for the taking until it got to the late game, and we played a few fights better here and there and ended up taking the win, but definitely not a team to sleep on.
A small addition to the roster here, they've added Inting mid player as a substitute. So that'll be interesting. But yeah, they're definitely, I'm not going to be like Red, I'm not going to be shy in calling them a bottom half team, but I think that bottom half this season is so much closer than all the previous seasons we've ever been in. So that means so much less if you're someone who, you're in the top half playing a bottom half team. Like, you should still be scared. You should still take it very seriously. And they they took RLS to 40 minutes in qualifiers, and though sort of a wild game. But yeah, definitely not a team to sleep on. I tried to poach some of their players when they didn't make it, so I'm glad I wasn't able to do that. But
yeah, that would have been.
Well, that would have been awkward.
That would
have been really awkward.
Really awkward. And then hopping into the next team that we've got up here, we've got a New Wave Tsunami. So another team that is almost all players. Hyakimaru is in fact near. Played previously, and then we've got Sunrise, T, and Ollie coming back. Really strong team. I think this is kind of like pushing pretty high up there.
Man, as a caster, this is easily the team I want to be casting the most, but I already know that whoever I'm casting with will not get a single one of my Dororo references when it comes to Hyakimaru. But either way, all anime memes aside, Sunrise is an incredible jungler, and I just love to see the amount of control that she does have on the map when she does get rolling. And Reset, I still cannot get over flashing into the enemy team as Jinx in order to get a pentakill in game 2 of, I think it was day 2 of qualifiers. Super fun AD carry to watch, and the amount that you'll see them positioning in strange but also correct positions is really fun. Right? You don't expect a Jinx flashing into the enemy team to be the right answer, but I don't know, they'll make it work.
So
definitely. Oh no, you go.
Oh, I was just gonna say. So I have a bit more insight into this team as I was their coach up until I joined UB. I think so. First off, I'll say props to Reset. I believe he's actually the first player in FOF to have 2 pentakills in a single season.
And we haven't
Although
even, like,
it is
started
qualifiers, so I don't know how that is going to be counted.
Doesn't count.
Unfortunate.
It may
But
not count
I
in the
think-
stats, but in your ego.
Yeah.
Which is
So this team
Holy place
lives
lives.
and dies by its top side. If Hyakimaru and Sunrise are unable to get things going on the map, the team struggles very hard. So it'll be interesting to see when they start getting to play against, like we said, the entirety of all 8 teams are just better overall than any season we've seen previously. So it'll be interesting once we start seeing them go into matches against a bunch of teams that have players that are higher caliber, what kind of happens, especially since the regular season is best of 1, so a lot of the times there isn't that time to adjust if you drop a game and go into the next one like you were able to in qualifiers and best of 3s and stuff. So I think this team shines when it has the ability to make adaptations in draft. So I'm interested to see how they work in the regular season, which is best of 1s.
Yeah, I think that Give Me a Reset was really exciting. I wonder how he'll play on champions that are not Zeri and Jinx, because surely they'll get nerfed eventually. Surely, please.
Surely,
I
please.
think next patch we've got some nerfs
them,
coming out
please.
as well.
But Tiki is
pride.
Tiki is such a solid mid lane player. He played last season as well. He's not necessarily sort of a big playmaker, but he will get the farm and he will do the damage that he needs to if he's set up to succeed. Ollie, same thing. He'll do what he needs to do. But definitely Sunrise and Hyakimaru are the 2 big playmakers in this team. They're going to be the ones making things happen. And yeah, I definitely think this can be the team that's going to be one of the most fun to watch. Even if I don't think that they're going to necessarily be top of the standings.
Wasn't it NW versus Tiki that had a play where it was Tiki?
He played quite a few Victor games in qualifiers.
Victor has been a very popular pick. I like
Victor
every
is the
single-
jinx
Victor's
of mid
just
lane.
disgusting right now.
He's the jinx of mid lane.
I mean, if there's any game that really stands out to me, it is, the game where we saw Reset flash into the enemy team. But also, I believe in that same game, Hyakimaru ended up picking... No, this was against a different team, but Hyakimaru picked Volibear top with Lethal Tempo, and then ended up going Riftmaker
And Hullbreaker.
and after Hullbreaker, and then went 0 and 8, and then still proceeded to push down the lane and take all the towers.
And then forgot to change his runes and played Lethal Tempo Singed.
Yep.
100% win rate.
100% win rate in FOF.
That was against STC.
Yeah, that was wild.
Rest in peace, STC.
Chris, yes. Although I'm sure there's some members on that team or a particular member who's like, oh, I have relief.
Yeah, I've heard there's 2 members in that team who are sighing in relief.
Right, quite potentially. All right, and then hopping down the list yet again, we're going up to one of our newer teams. Awesome logo right there. Pandas with hats. Love the name.
Great name, great logo.
Great top laner.
Great top laner. He solo killed my old top laner. I think every single game that we played him, or it seemed like it. So that's why we kicked him back to AD carry and put Red in. I have never seen a bronze top laner solo kill someone that many times.
That's impressive.
In all seriousness, though, this team, we saw them and played them in qualifiers. We ended up winning our series to qualify against them 2-0, but it was it 2-0 or 2-1? I don't even. We might have even dropped it. I think we dropped a game. It was 2-1.
Let me look it
I
up.
think so, because I'm pretty sure I know you
I think
struggled a little bit. I think this was.
I think it was 2-1.
I'm pretty confident Pandas with hats got game 1.
Yeah, it was they got game 2. They got game 2.
Oh, okay. I just
It was
remember.
game 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
UB won game 1, game 3.
I purged the game from my mind. It didn't happen. But no, they
I
beat
just-
us.
I just remember reading the FoF press release and seeing the Pandas with Hats, their interview thing, because Wash said no games dropped in qualifiers are at Eat a Sock, and Pandas with Hats cheekily responded the next day, no games won in qualifiers or we eat a sock.
But
So the moment I saw a game win, I said, oh my god, we get socks all over the board.
we basically looked up their ranks and we're like, these guys are just lower ranked than us. Like, we will just show up and win on the day. And the fact that we were just higher ranked was probably the only reason we won that series, because I don't think we played particularly well, but we dropped a game. And we're a team of entirely high gold and plat players against this team that has like 2 gold players, everyone else is silver bronze. It was nuts. So I don't know if they're underranked and they're just like, don't play ranked and they're just actually insane, or if their teamwork is just nuts, or what it is. But those guys are not to be completely overlooked, even though I still think they're 8th in the league.
Maybe they're just a flex only team. Like they only play flex ranked, and so like that's where
I
their
have-
actual ranks are.
I mean, Flex will still show up on the thing, though.
Yeah, like
It's
I
a
don't.
higher rank, yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea what they did, what they're eating for breakfast, but I want it.
They ate their Wheaties and they were ready.
They
Yeah, I
sure
mean-
did.
I believe RLS did play against Pandas with Hats in qualifiers. That was the game that I didn't play in qualifiers, though, so I can't really say much of how I felt about that game. But I will say, definitely not a team you can sleep on.
It's
There
like,
really aren't any of those this
There,
season.
there are no
there
teams you
aren't.
can sleep on.
like for everyone who's played in the previous seasons and they just had to go through this qualifier, I think it was a bit of a bell ring, because so many times you get these teams come in, they play the qualifiers, like, oh my god, this is what I've got to play against. How am I going to do this? And the top tier teams are like, man, just going to kind of coast our way through. Do. Now everyone is doing we got to work now. I got to try.
Yeah, PTP and TAS are gone. Sorry, PTP and TAS.
Yeah, no more skill
I'm
based.
gonna miss
no Gorilla
Team
Muffins.
Asworth. I love Team Asworth. Those guys were up.
They were awesome, but they didn't win that many games.
They tried so hard. They had
I just
the
remember
most
them
heart.
playing Yasuo, Yone,
Hey, they made the
bot lane.
most legendary playoff run. No,
They did. They totally did.
Oh, that is still to date my favorite FoF meme. Is the TAS flag guy.
Yup.
TAS
Oh,
yelled back,
baby.
yup.
To date, my favorite FoF meme because everyone got in on it.
Well,
Which
that was
you-
an awesome team.
Yeah, I'm looking
But
forward to seeing
no,
some of them.
not too much disrespect intended, but you could sort of not prep too much for those types of games, show up and just be like, yeah, we're better players, we'll win. And those teams don't exist anymore. Like, this is, I think Pandas with Hats is the weakest team in this league. And if you have to actually prep for them and like play your, A game on that day, and that's the worst team, then you can't phone it in ever.
No, this is going to be exciting. I am so stoked. And then we got 2 more teams left, just 2 more. We've got rapidly losing sanity. And I swear, if you keep changing your name, I'm totally going to go mad.
it's gonna
but-
happen every season.
Yeah.
They keep
Okay.
reusing labels shittily.
That's a good one.
That's true. That's true. That is, yes. I
What was
do
it
like your
first?
top lane switch up though. Ahnty, you are
Mhm.
not the starter this time around. You've got Kyrie Lexion.
Yeah, I love Kieri. She was our sub last season. She is a huge reason as to why my champion pool is the way how it is. Originally, RLS stood for the Ruby League server, where all of us were originally rivals players, ended up playing a bunch of league together, and in the league server we have 5v5 in-houses every now and then that we just did for fun. And Kieri was always the bane of my existence. She is a very strong laner and strong player, and it was actually, there's a few champions that I ended up picking up specifically because they were counter picks to her picks, and then she would pick counter picks to those, and repeat ad infinitum, and both of us have decided each other's champion pools. So we have very different play styles and very different champion pools, but I think that the team is in very capable hands with her in the top lane instead of myself.
I think RLS is always a team that you can't say their players are bad and some of their players are even good, maybe top 6, but their teamwork is really what sets them apart, I think. And just sort of they always seem to be on the same page, and they always seem to be, one person goes in and everyone else is on board, and they're doing the same thing. And I think that's really what sets them apart and what's going to make them so scary, because it is sort of 4 returning players and a returning sub. So it's like they're all on the same page. They all know how this league works. They all know how this game works, and there's going to be a well-oiled machine from day one. So I think that they're going to be. I think I have them third, but I could easily see them second, honestly, just behind Baby in terms of.
I will say that is very flattering. As far as the team is concerned, when it comes to starting members, there is a very real possibility that Pangu Soul and Demon Girl, built like Mewtwo was Demon Girl last season, so she would have also been a returning member. But either way, Pangu Soul and Demon Girl, there's a very real possibility that they will not be seeing as much playtime this season, because Kaori and Tef are both also very strong players who we've actually been friends with before FoF, at least Kaori. But Tef has also been very close with Kaori, so we've got a bit of things to throw into the mix.
Okay, well, maybe they won't be a well-oiled machine, but whatever the case, I think Escape, especially in the bot lane, is sort of the individual standout, but their team play has always been what's impressed me the most, and I think what will make them a top team this year.
I completely. And then we got coming down to our last team adding into this edition, keeping with the economics theme. We've got trickle down economics.
The antithesis of a universal basic income.
Exactly. Oh boy. So it's almost like they're just straight up calling you out.
It kind of is like that, especially given that we kind of know them. So yeah, it's a little personal.
Just kind of.
Just kind of, yeah. It feels personal. Zenzen is returning from Rex last season in the Helios League. He was their mid laner, and now he's switching up to top lane. Leaves and Mezuzah are new to FoF, but I knew them coming in. And then Ultravox and Bob Joseph are actually new to me as well, but they're sort of friends of friends, so not completely strangers or anything like that, but just I haven't played a whole lot with them. But individually, that team is stacked. I think that team is the best individual team on paper in this league. And so the question is literally just, can they figure out the teamwork side of things fast enough? And if they can, they should have the highest ceiling. It's pretty disgusting, actually, how good some of those guys are on their own.
So I will say that Leaves and his duo did clap me and Dax in a solo queue game. It was not a fun experience. So they're the team that right now I'm probably most concerned about, especially given that we play them tomorrow, or today, I guess.
Whenever this airs.
Whenever this airs. So okay,
if this comes out tomorrow, then we play them today.
Yeah.
Or yesterday. I don't know when this is coming out.
Whenever it does. Okay, so just so everybody knows, as we've hit this point, I was gonna say at the end, these are gonna be airing on the Mondays before all of the games. So we are gonna be doing our recordings on Sundays, and then we'll be posting this lounge channel on Monday. Kind of like a.
Gotcha. Well, we play them in 2 hours. Don't go anywhere.
Yeah. And, I don't know anything about Zenzen's experience top lane, but as far as I am aware, he was a mid laner prior to this. And now we are both off-rolled top lane, and I expect it to be a shit show.
Zenzen
it's gonna be another
top lane is
fight.
interesting.
Yeah.
Zenzen in top lane is interesting because from what I saw in qualifiers, Zenzen very much has the nuances of the lane down and understands, the idea behind how you have to play certain champions and things like that. But Zenzen will still be caught off guard by niche counter picks. Like the Zac top into Sion was something that Zenzen had no idea how to play into. I don't believe, because there was no early Bramble Vest, there was no Hull Breaker, and either of those items would have turned that into a basically unwinnable lane for Zac, but Zac was allowed to just kind of farm up.
Excellent. But that means that my super patented Rammus top lane will catch them off guard.
I mean, it'll definitely catch them off guard, but it's a question of how much will it work. My biggest complaint about this team is Bob Joseph's name being neither Bob nor Joseph.
Yep.
That's true. His
And
name
he's
is in fact
none of the
Mason.
Bobs or Josephs that we've had in this league.
Also, he spelled Joseph wrong. And the story behind that, in case you're curious, he made that name in 8th grade, didn't know how to spell Joseph, and has kept it ever since. And by when he was 8. I misspoke. When he was 8. Slightly more understandable. So he is in fact Bob Joseph.
I was about to say, maybe Escape has a brethren in the dyslexia category.
Brendan said I
For
can't
those
talk
who
about
don't
dyslexia on
know,
broadcast.
for those who don't know, Escape is literally dyslexic. It is not. I'm not jabbing at just dyslexic people in general. Just a very targeted thing towards my AD carry.
He deserves it. Probably.
He deserves it.
But yeah, so those are the teams.
Exciting set of matchups.
Big shout out of all those teams, especially to New Wave Tsunami for playing 12 games in the qualifiers.
Oh shoot!
Yeah,
There's a 14 game best of 1 regular season, and they played 12 games in 3 days to qualify. So that is absolutely ridiculous and mad respect.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and get into that because we wanted to talk about the qualifiers and how they played out in the way that they did. So like the first round was essentially just a best of 1.
Best of 1 round robin.
Best of 1 round robin. So if you made it through, you got through. 2, that's where things got kind of crazy.
Yeah, so day 2 was best of 3s. 2nd and 3rd in each group would play. Winner was in. Loser played the 4th seed. Winner of that had some complicated tie breaks, but either was in or got to play one final match to see if they were in. And so overall, I think we ended up with 7 best of 3s for the final 5 teams. And yeah, overall, just a ton of games. And it was just kind of brutal, honestly, like the number of games that everyone had to play. But also, it's sort of understandable from a staff point of view because the fewer games they play, effectively, they risk worse teams making it in. And so their goal is ultimately competitive fairness and integrity. And sometimes that comes at the cost of people's sleep schedules.
Yeah, I'm not too crazy about well, we'll just use New Wave for example, right? They had to play 12 games over the course of 3 days when the regular season is 14 days.
Mhm.
Or I'm sorry, 14 games. And like that's just kind of ridiculous. And like obviously there's some weird stuff going on with like there was a forfeit from UNR.
2 different teams. 2 different teams forfeit, yeah.
Blizz was just counted as the 4th team on day 1 and was eliminated.
Mhm.
But UNR kind of threw a wrench in things in terms of like how it kind of shaked out a little bit. But at the end of the day, I do think that all the teams representing FoF in season 5 are going to be great, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I definitely think it worked out in the end, but wouldn't mind seeing maybe a slightly shorter format or maybe more days so it feels more spread out in the future.
Yeah.
I mean, as someone with TO experience, I'd love to be working behind the scenes with FoF next season if that's a possibility, for setting that up.
Hey, we've already sucked up Red and got him doing some stuff behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And for folks who watched The Lunge before, that pretty face, kind of like this. We are going to actually be having Red is going to be joining regularly, and so is Once Week back. So, still weak, but Once Week's back.
Always
Once week, once a week.
Fan of Eddie.
Once a week, essentially, or once every 2 weeks, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because the way scheduling works out, only.
Bummer.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, like big respect for everyone running it, just making qualifiers work at all. But yeah,
I mean,
can't have been
format
fun.
was easy enough for us, 4-0 in the qualifiers. Simple.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead, slide right in.
Yeah, we dropped 1 game to Baby, the best team in the league, and then we had to play a whole other best of 3.
Simply don't lose.
Yes, that's the way.
If you destroy their Nexus first, what are they gonna do? Cry? Maybe. I hope not.
Well, let's see. So with that, was there any particular want to do like a particular power ranking, or we kind of?
I mean, I'll do mine. I kind of spoiled it a little bit earlier, but essentially I have Baby, So this is for the first 7 games. Is what I have this power ranking at. So I have Baby number 1, and then for the next one it's 2 or 3. I see either of these teams being second or third. TDE and UB, and then for 4 or 5 I have RLS and AWE, and for 6 through 8 I have Wash, NWT, and PWH.
Mine is similar. I have Baby 1, I have TDE 2, I have RLS 3, UB 4, AWE 5, I have New Wave at 6, I have Wash at 7, and I have Pandas with Hats 8th. But I'm not going to be as bold and say that's for the first 7 games. That's for the first week, and then I'll change my opinion because I'll have more games to look at.
All those stats.
I'm just gonna say the same thing that I pretty much say every season. I am not really looking for RLS to be like a number 1 or even top half team in the normal season. As long as we make playoffs, we're just gonna be shooting for finals by then. As far as a power ranking goes, I don't know. Team Baby's pretty good. That's all I can really think of.
I think
Coward.
that's pretty. I think that's pretty much. We all are. I've got Baby up at the top as well.
Hey, what can I say? I mean, what you want to see the washed RLS Grand Finals?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh
actually.
yeah.
I made Grand Finals last year. I'm not missing it. Or I missed it last year. I'm not missing it this year.
You know what? We shouldn't have let Red sub in for us last season. You're gonna just leak all our strats, huh?
I'm gonna be real honest. I don't really remember that game other than the one thing I remember about that game is me screaming Vayne's dead.
Yeah,
And then
I remember
instantly
it's
dying
like
afterwards.
Vayne is out of the fight. That's all I remember.
Yeah, I was like Vayne's dead, and then I died.
Having refereed for RLS before, I can confirm their comms are very loud.
Very loud.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and hop right in here. We can take a look at what we've got coming up on Monday. So this is the first set of games that we've got going on. We've got Wash versus Baby, going to be game number 1. That's going to be, I think, a really big wake-up call if Wash wasn't already kind of aware of what they're walking into. But I think it's going to be really interesting if they're able.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
agree.
Wash is like the best part of Wash is easily their top jungle synergy, in my opinion. Like I think that team lives or dies by top jungle. Like if their mid lane will hold on and their bot lane has very solid players, but I think bot lane in general in this season is, I mean, in general this entire, like every role is kind of stacked this season, but bot lane in particular. So it'll be tough, especially playing against a player like Antunes.
I think Baby is both this game against Wash and their day 2 game against New Wave is sort of favored to win somewhat comfortably. If that doesn't happen, you start reevaluating them for first.
Mm-hmm.
But if that does happen, you start looking at sort of what kind of fight the teams they were against was able to put up, because I think that's going to be more indicative than the actual result of where the teams are at. Because I think that you can lose to Baby in these games and still actually come out, impressing people and looking better than maybe people thought you were going to look coming in.
And you've got your Red. Sorry, did you want to on that match?
No, I did pretty much covered everything. I expect it to be a Baby win. I have them first in the first 7 games, so I expect them to beat a lot of teams. This is no exception.
Yep. Yeah, and then next matchup we're going to be having is Art of War versus RLS. Then we've got Trickle Down Economics versus UB, and closing out the day with NWT versus WA. It's going to be the.
I think those are all really close games.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think day 1 does a lot for how power rankings are gonna shift out, because especially for me, because a lot of these teams I have in the same brackets, aside from Baby and Wash. But like I have TDE UB pretty close. I have RLS and AWE really close, and I have NWT and PWH really close. So it'll be interesting to see how the games play out.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to me because week 1, RLS is pretty much only playing against teams that we played against before. AWE we played against in scrims, but yeah, when we do end up getting into Wash the day after, once again, going to be playing against some familiar faces. So we'll see how things work out, see if anything changes, if anything stays the same.
The games, live on broadcast are always different than the ones you play behind the scenes. But yeah, I think if any of those games are super one-sided, actually, that would be almost the surprise. And that would say, a lot about the team who's winning by a lot or maybe losing by a lot in terms of maybe they're more than we thought or not all that they cracked up to be.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not playing this time around, so we're not going to get as much coin flip in terms of games for RLS, I don't think. But definitely should be some really bang-up games. Should hopefully be really close back and forth sort of fights. I want to see some blood.
Yeah.
Do you like bloodshed?
Oh, I love it.
I honestly, I think these first two sets of
And then day 2, so we Baby New Wave. I think same story as Baby Wash. Sort of Baby's favored, but anything you can do to slow him down or make him work for it is going to be reflect well on you.
Absolutely. And then RLS versus Wash, you're gonna go up against those guys again. Exciting to see.
Rematch from the Slugfest and qualifiers. So I think RLS is favored.
I'm also in qualifiers I played. And this time, Gary's going to be playing. So
that's true. I think RLS is favored, but I mean, if Wash wins, it shouldn't be. I mean, that's sort of the story of this whole season. It's like, yeah, I think the team's favored, but if the other guys win, I guess 50-50.
I guess we're not. We've already got a bit of a rivalry going on. If you hop into trash talk here and there.
Yeah, those two teams claim they're going to meet each other in finals. Every other team is trying to stop them from doing it, but we'll see.
Oh, that would be the greatest meme, though.
It would.
That would be hilarious. We got UB Art of War 3rd in day 2. That's also going to be a good one since like I said, I have no idea how to evaluate that team. So that's sort of the best way, I guess, is just to play them.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited for the first 2 days. I think aside from Jaffe, I have aside from you, Ahnty, what I regard as the 2 best top laners. So it'll be interesting to see how I can go in and stack up against them. Because I think it's RLS, AWE, Baby, and TDE that I'm looking out for in terms of top lane players.
The disrespect to Hyakimaru.
I will say,
I've
also
played with
Dr.
Hyakimaru for 10 years.
Dr. Schmeckles also needs some respect.
All I will say is that Wash's top laner in matchups that they're comfortable with is very, very spooky.
All right.
That's a good sign for their team and their performance going forward.
If anyone on those other teams that I did not mention can shut me up, they are more than welcome to do so.
That's pretty much the season, right? And then last on day 2, you got Pandas with Hats and TDE, and I'm rooting for Pandas with Hats so hard. I want TDE to go 0-14.
Oh baby!
I think it'd be incredibly funny if Smeckles can just always solo kill all of.
I want Schmeckles to go nuts. I want Schmeckles to be the MVP top winner of the season. That's what I want to see.
Wow, thanks.
You can be second. But I do want him to solo kill you. You can solo kill him back later. Just give him the first blood.
I would love to see it be Kieri. The way how she plays, I don't think lends her into an MVP role, but I would love to see it be Kieri.
It'll be interesting to watch. I'm excited. I think the absolute fire. Now, other than that, so that's kind of how the first set of games are going to show up. Was there anything else in particular you guys want to talk about? Because I kind of wanted to bring up the Friend or FoF Connect.
Do it.
It is pretty cool.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, the FoF Connect is our weekly magazine that we're going to be putting out. As you can see right here, issue number 3 is currently on the website, FoFesports.com. I actually went ahead and got one printed out just because I wanted to see what it would look like and all that fun jazz and all that. So it kind of, just looks sort of fancy. They printed it wrong, so I've only got pages on one side. But one of the things that's pretty cool is in issue number 2, you've actually got the champion, little anime characters. So if you win, get an anime portrait drawn of yourself.
If you make it to finals, because I have one too.
This is true.
It's not in there. It's not in there, but I have one.
Mine's not in there too. Come on.
Yeah, they don't release the anime portraits for the runners-up, but you do get one. So if you make it to finals, you're good. If you win finals, then it gets to be on broadcast. So my face is going to be on broadcast because I'm special.
My face is not on broadcast because I lost to his face.
My face is not on broadcast because I lost the battle of the Joshes and Grands.
Well, as you can see, it's kind of cool. So we've got like the different groups in this issue. It talks about the different teams for the qualifiers, and then it kind of gives you a breakdown in this issue of what to expect and where you can follow. So it's really cool. Like, you got all sorts of really nice stuff right here. Got again a breakdown on each of the teams. Very blatant plagiarism coming out from Rapidly Losing Identity right there in their logo. But it's got a lot of really cool stuff. Right here, we did talk about.
We're getting a different logo this season.
Yeah. So all our RLS's Valorant Adventures. This was actually something that did put out a Valorant League. Want to talk about that just a little bit, Ahnty? Just kind of a brief little overview.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the Valorant League went, right? FoF was hosting like a test tournament, where we had a bunch of different teams come in and they played some Valorant together, and there was no skill cap, but I believe a lot of different teams came in, had some fun in a one-day tournament to see how we could run a Valorant tournament in the future. And RLS, we had content. That is what I will say. And Ruby, the titular Ruby of Ruby's League server, has a YouTube channel at Ruby Rose Crowns. Just gonna give it a bit of a shout out. If you want to see some more of that content, you see everyone having fun playing together, taking the time with the FoF staff to make the best content we can. But it's really just a good time overall.
And this particular is why I wanted to pull up this particular issue. Red, it seems you have some thoughts on Zeri.
I hate this champion. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Look. If she was only playable in bot lane, I guess she's okay. But the fact that she can be played into a lot of matchups and invalidate champions in mid and top, like it's a little less egregious now after the nerfs. They kind of cut into the bruiser build a little bit and brought down her damage and kind of shifted it more towards crit. But it does not feel good playing against this champion. It only feels good when you are playing the champion. And if anyone out there has watched the TL Yoon clip where he's going at like Mach 15 for 3 minutes straight, out, like zooming around like a Rammus on crack and just flying around the rift, and it's ridiculous. I hate it. I hate that champion. Remove her from the game. Thanks. That's all I got.
That's a very strong opinion.
Very, very strong. Very strong.
She's too Filipino for me to dislike her.
I think Zeri's neat, but maybe slightly too strong and needs some small nerfs. That's it.
If they put a cap on how long her ult lasted, I'd feel a lot greater about the champion.
She would also be a bad champion.
I don't care. I don't care.
At that point, you fix the problem. But
they should just make it so the only people who can play her are people with Filipino blood or Filipino friends.
And then to kind of close out,
Filipinos make the world go round.
Connect, we do have our art corner. So artist and you submit artwork, definitely looking to get published here in our own little magazine house. As you can see, FoF's very own Su Lin did a little Valentine Heartseeker Yumi. We got the Chris Sunga doing a very interesting looking Rakan. So lots of really interesting stuff just all the way through. And in the back, of course, we will have Edwin's corner where he talks about season. That is, Edwin is also joining us here on the in the future. Get some more insight there. We'll look at having keep an eye out for those power rankings as well.
Yeah, official power rankings will be in future editions of that.
They will.
Ooh,
They will be in
baby.
futures editions of that, and you can find this
And-
all FoFesports.com. Post on the Discord server. That'll be linked down below. You should. Well,
Yeah, this is a lot of content. How much
It's-
is this? How much do we pay for this?
how much do you pay for this? You pay absolutely
It's
nothing.
$3.99.
You pay
$3.99.
$3.99.
$3.99.
$3.99 and 99 cents multiplied by 0.
Oh baby.
Okay. So,
Yeah, if anyone is new to this league, it is a enormous labor of love from everyone involved, and it shows, and it's really high quality given that no one gets paid.
I'm just doing this because I love it. I love the sound of my own voice personally. That's the whole reason I'm here. That's why I'm the host. Like, I just like to talk. So. All right.
I'm here because Cowrie said, "Hey, my cousin runs this league thing that I think you might be interested in." So
Well, honestly, one of the things I do want to say I like about this community a lot is I do like how it kind of pulls itself a little bit more than the standard league community does. So it's like actually not toxic league for the most part.
for the most part,
I mean, we got the trash talk channel, but that's like it's there for trash talk. It's designed.
yeah. I mean, yeah.
It is the
it's up in as
friendliest
well.
trash talk channel I think I can ever imagine.
In all honesty, is a very friendly.
In fact, if you're not part of trash talk, join trash talk. It's not really trash talk. It's just slightly edgy talk with memes.
Yeah. During the first season of FoF, I was like deathly terrified to join trash talk. I would just like opt in like maybe once every like 2 weeks, read something, and then like opt back out. But
I
it
just
is
posted memes the whole season.
yeah, no, and then I realized people were just kind of posting memes in there, and it's like, oh, this is chill.
I love my Trundle meme. That was a good one. The flex tape Trundle. Yeah.
That was a great
I
one.
think my favorite meme was like, it's hard for me to like talk about if I don't have like a visual aid, but it was the one where you have like the two characters and they're like messaging each other on their phones.
Oh, the
On one
RLS
side,
and
it's Rex going, wow, I had so much fun today, and RLS going like, yeah, so did I, and then Rex is like, wow, RLS sucks, and RLS is like, wow, Joshi's so hot.
Yeah.
Yes. That how it ends up going. All right. Well, I think I have exhausted all of my talking points.
Yeah, I'm done talking to you guys.
We'll see. Want to say thank you very much to our sponsors, Logitech, Adobe Creative Cloud, ProComps, and Academy of Art. We greatly appreciate all of your support. Remember to check us out on twitch.tv/FoF Esports. Check out our Discord, which is going to be linked down below, and we will be seeing you, the Rift.